with New Walk. Today I wanted to go over some self-regulation skills that you can try to teach your kids, especially if you're trying to teach them different practical life skills, right? Kids and adults, right? We all get upset when we're feeling frustrated because we can't do something, or we're trying really hard at something and it's not working, or we just don't get our way, or somebody upsets us, right? There are infinite reasons why a kid could get upset by something. I constantly have to remind myself when I'm at home with my kids and I'm dealing with these tantrums and these upsets, whether legitimate or not, I'm raising people and not robots. And so these are not perfect strategies by any means. I am not a child expert, but these are some of the things that I've used in my professional life working with kids and in my personal life working with my kids. And they're just some things that I feel are noteworthy and that have been helpful strategies in our house if I stay consistent. So here we go. Number one is deep breathing. I know that probably seems like such common sense. That is a wonderful way to just help the body reset, and physiologically it actually helps the body come down from a fight or flight mode. So it's a huge mental reset for the kids and for me. And one of the ways that I used to teach kiddos that I worked with and now kiddos in my own home is smelling cake, making a wish, and blowing out the candles. So it's something that is a visual representation of their deep breathing practice, and they can better conceptualize what they're supposed to do during that practice. Another thing we teach our kids is to walk away or ask for a minute. This is a great one because it removes the kid from a situation, or if you're removing yourself from a situation, it's allowing space, physical space, for that reset. And teaching a kid to, one, do this, but two, actually verbalize that they need to do this is very big. But I have seen that if I'm consistent at prompting, hey, do you just need a minute? Or hey, why don't you go reset in this room or in this space? If I stay consistent with that, I can tell that my kids will start adopting that, and then I don't have to prompt it anymore. So our oldest child is gonna be 6 soon. She will initiate it herself, that she will go take a minute by herself. And our second born is learning to do this more consistently, but he still needs prompting for about 50% of the time. Another strategy is being able to verbalize what they're actually feeling. I think out of all of the strategies that I've taught over the years, this one is golden. If a kid can actually tell you what he or she is feeling, that can kind of help diffuse a lot of situations, and they can kind of better understand what they're feeling, so then they can be more proactive about finding a solution to whatever that feeling is. So it can be really helpful to give a lot of examples when you're first teaching a kid to verbalize what they're feeling, because they may not understand all of the different emotions. And so even just having like pictures that can represent it, or if you're telling them examples like, well, I feel frustrated when X, Y, or Z, and my face might look like this, versus if I'm feeling sad about X, Y, or Z, my face might look like this. So just giving them some kind of visual representation that they can kind of connect the dots with. And with this one specifically, I have found that the more we practice this in my house, the more my kids are able to say, I'm feeling frustrated, or I'm feeling annoyed, or I'm feeling sad, instead of just everything coming out as anger. And I'm sure maybe you guys have seen the anger iceberg diagram or picture, not diagram, but a picture. If you haven't, Google it, but it's this picture of an iceberg, and the tip of it that's above water looks like anger, but underneath there are all these other different emotions. They might portray themselves as anger, but really underneath what's coming out is shame or guilt or embarrassment or feeling annoyed or feeling like you can't solve a problem, you know. So helping kids kind of figure that out is very important. Another thing is teaching our kids how to ask for help. I think a lot of times our kids would like help, but they don't really know how to ask for help. And so being able to prompt them like, hey, do you need help? Yeah. Okay, well, how do you ask? Not immediately swooping in and responding to whatever problem they're facing, whether it's they can't tie their shoes or they can't find this certain Pokemon card or whatever it is. Not coming in and immediately helping, but making sure you're prompting the ask for help. And so this is something we're really working on with our kids specifically right now in this season of life, is being able to ask for help. And it's okay that they need the help. And of course, I'm going to help them if it's something they really need help with. But I want them to ask for it. Because later on down the road, I'm hoping that this is going to help them advocate for themselves and be able to ask for help in bigger situations when they're older, elementary age or middle school and high school, and even when they're adults facing bigger, more complex problems. And finally, this last one really isn't a strategy necessarily. It's more of like prevention for self-regulation, but being able to explain what's going on or giving an explanation for an answer to something. So if our son comes up and he's like, can I have a snack? And I look at the time and I'm like, no, you may not have a snack right now. He loses his mind, right? Because he's 3, and that's what really cute 3-year-olds do. They lose their mind over seemingly nothing problems. But if I'm just saying no, that gives him no context for why I said no. But if I give an explanation and I get down to his level, and he's a physical touch kid, so I might put my hand on his back or his shoulder and I'll say, buddy, the answer is no. But it's because you just had breakfast 20 minutes ago and it's not quite time for a snack. Should we set a timer for whatever time when it is snack time? For him, if he can understand the why behind the answer, he comes down a lot faster. Maybe not immediately, but a lot faster than if it's just, no, I can't get my way. If he can kind of start establishing those reasoning skills and I can help facilitate that, it's going to help him with those self-regulation skills a lot faster. This one is kind of, a touchy one. I don't think a lot of people agree with giving your kids explanations for things, and that's okay. It's just something that we do in our house, and for our specific kids and other kids that I've worked with, it seems to be an effective strategy for preventing problems from happening or helping a kid come down a lot faster from an emotional state. I don't like how these scones are turning out, so I'm going to recut them because, I can. But like I said before, these are not foolproof strategies. Obviously, they're going to work better for some kids and not for others. Or this might work better for this kid and another strategy might work better for another kid. If nothing is seeming to work with your kids, then maybe try something else, or just offer them silence or time to themselves, like a little bit of solitude, or offer them a hug. Sometimes, that might not be the safest option, as I've learned from experience in my professional life. You don't always want to give a tantruming child a hug, but hopefully these can be just little tools that you can put in your toolbox and whip them out whenever you need. But all to say, raising kids has definitely proven to not be easy or always rainbows and butterflies, but it sure is a rewarding experience that I have found so far. And if you can kind of help these little people self-regulate and manage their feelings at an early age, I'm hopeful that it's just going to raise really awesome, balanced people. Thank you so much for joining. If you found this at all helpful, please hit the like button and even hit subscribe so that you can be notified whenever I put out new content. I will see you next time on Old Path, New Walk. Ooh, I'm gonna make some scones for our meeting tomorrow. If they make it to the meeting, I will be surprised.